It all began on a quiet Thursday night inside a nearly empty gym, the kind of silence that feels heavier than noise. Fluorescent lights flickered and buzzed above, casting long shadows across the padded mats, while the faint echo of footsteps bounced from wall to wall. Most students were already gone after a brutal martial arts session, their laughter and energy fading into the parking lot. Only a few lingered near the corner, wiping sweat from their faces and sipping water as they talked in low voices. Along the edge of the room, an older man moved slowly, guiding a mop across the polished wooden floor. His grey work shirt looked faded from countless washes, and his rough, calloused hands told stories of years spent doing unseen work. His name was Marcus. To almost everyone there, he barely existed. He was just the janitor, the man who cleaned the mats, emptied the trash, and erased every trace of sweat so the fighters could return the next day without a second thought. But to one person, Marcus was impossible to ignore. Tyler, a young black belt in his early 20s, stood nearby stretching his arms. He was confident, sharp, full of energy and, if he was honest, maybe a little too sure of himself. For weeks now, Tyler had been quietly watching Marcus. Something about him didn't sit right in the best way. The way Marcus walked steady, perfectly balanced. The way he lifted heavy buckets without effort, and especially the way his eyes moved, calm but alert, scanning the room like someone who knew exactly how dangerous silence could be. That night, Tyler finally made a move. He dropped his gym bag to the floor and walked over with a playful grin. "Hey, Marcus," he said casually. "You ever think about sparring? Just for fun." The room froze. Conversations stopped. A few heads slowly turned. Marcus leaned against the mop handle and let out a soft chuckle. "Me," he said, his deep voice carrying a mix of humility and quiet surprise. "You want to spar with me?" "Son, I'm just the janitor," Marcus said quietly, shaking his head. But Tyler wasn't buying it. "Something tells me you're more than that," Tyler replied, his smile fading into curiosity. "Come on, just a light round. No pressure." Marcus hesitated, his grip tightening slightly on the mop handle. His past wasn't something he shared, not here, not anywhere. People saw a uniform and a title and stopped looking deeper. They didn't see the man who once trained his body not for trophies or applause, but to stay alive. He had learned martial arts in places where rules didn't exist, where fights happened in dark alleys and survival was the only prize. Life had hit him hard, stripped away his dreams piece by piece, until all that mattered was providing for his family. Somewhere along the way, he traded ambition for responsibility. And now, years later, he cleaned floors while others chased glory. Whispers spread across the room. Some students laughed under their breath. Others smirked openly. A black belt sparring with the janitor. It sounded like a joke waiting to happen. But Marcus noticed Tyler's eyes. There was no cruelty there. No mockery. Just genuine curiosity and a hint of respect. Slowly, Marcus set the mop aside and straightened his back. "All right," he said calmly. "But remember, you asked for this." The spar started with nervous laughter. Tyler bounced lightly on his feet, relaxed and confident, tossing out a few playful jabs to test the distance. Marcus didn't move much. His feet stayed planted. His hands hung loose at his sides. He looked almost passive, like a man doing nothing at all. But there was a quiet tension in his posture, the stillness of someone who had been in real fights and knew how fast things could turn. Tyler suddenly surged forward, throwing a quick strike toward Marcus's shoulder. And in the blink of an eye, Marcus shifted his weight, redirected the punch with a smooth, almost invisible parry, and stepped aside. Tyler stumbled, his balance gone. Before he could recover, Marcus gently tapped him on the chest. The room sucked in a breath. That wasn't luck, that was pure, undeniable skill. The sound of Marcus's movements was deep, sharp, and unmistakably, and Tyler's grin only grew wider. "Okay," Tyler said, between breaths, excitement flashing in his eyes. "Now we're talking." Round after round, Tyler came in harder. He fired off fast kicks, sharp punches, and complex combinations, the same techniques that had helped him dominate dozens of competitors before. But every time, Marcus was already there. He read Tyler's attacks like words on a page, shifting just enough, reacting without strain. His timing was flawless, almost effortless. He wasn't trying to overpower Tyler or prove anything. Instead, he guided him, redirecting force, slipping past strikes, quietly teaching without saying a single word. The room fell silent. No laughter, no whispers, just wide eyes and held breath. The students who had once smirked now stared in disbelief. The janitor, the man they walked past every day without a second glance, was controlling a black belt with calm precision, barely breaking a sweat dot at last. Tyler stepped back. His chest rose and fell rapidly, sweat dripping from his chin. But there was no frustration on his face, only awe. "You're incredible," he said honestly. Marcus offered a small, knowing smile. "I'm just a man who learned how to survive," he replied. "Belts don't define skill, son. Life does." Later that night, when the gym had emptied and the echoes faded, Tyler sat beside Marcus as he gathered his cleaning supplies. The excitement had settled into something quieter, deeper. "Why didn't you ever tell anyone?" Tyler asked softly. Marcus paused, his hands resting on the mop bucket. He looked down for a moment before answering. "Because nobody ever asked," he said. "People see the uniform and think they already know your story. They don't see the years, the scars, the battles it took just to keep standing." His voice softened. "I work here because it pays the bills. My kids needed food on the table more than I needed trophies on the wall," Marcus said softly, his eyes distant for a moment, lost in memories of years spent sacrificing for family. Sometimes, sacrifice is the greatest strength. Tyler felt a tight knot in his throat. All his life, he had worn his black belt like armor, like proof of discipline, skill, and superiority. He had measured himself by medals and victories, never questioning the world beyond the mat. But tonight, in front of Marcus, he had glimpsed something bigger, something heavier, yet more powerful. Humility. The next day, the gym felt different. Word spread quickly. Students and instructors alike began treating Marcus not as a mere janitor, but as a man of quiet wisdom, discipline, and unimaginable strength. Yet Marcus sought nothing. He still arrived every evening, mop and bucket in hand, moving across the gym floor with the same calm determination. But now, heads turned with respect. Students asked for guidance, eager to learn from the man who had left a black belt, one of the proudest in the room, speechless. Marcus's life had been full of challenges most would never imagine. Poverty, prejudice, harsh judgments from people who saw only the uniform, never the soul beneath it. His challenge had been carrying those untold stories while being underestimated every single day. Tyler's challenge had been pride and arrogance that had blinded him to the truth that wisdom isn't measured in belts or titles. His lesson, learned at last, was humility, respecting the strength in those society often overlooks, and in that quiet, unexpected clash of experience and youth, their paths met at exactly the right moment. What unfolded wasn't about winning or losing. It was about seeing, really seeing, and understanding that greatness can hide in the most ordinary places,